Okay, well, it's noon. Let's go ahead and get started. My name is David Collinsworth. I'm the General Manager and CEO of the Brazos River Authority. And I just wanted to, first of all, sincerely thank everyone for taking their time to join us today. This is the very first brown bag on the Brazos. And the goal of this meeting is simply for us to create a reoccurring opportunity to keep you informed. You being our customers, you being citizens of Texas, or anybody that's interested about water, the growth and the water issues and challenges facing Texas, or any other issues associated with water. So again, we're really glad that you're here. We have a very full agenda today, and we are going to do our very best to stay on our 1 hour timeline. So we've got a lot to discuss. And we're going to provide an opportunity for you to send us some questions. We'll do our very best to answer them. Go back. I'm sorry. Keep going back. I'll tell you when to change. So this is what our agenda looks like for today. These are some agenda items that we wanted to discuss. We just had a really good workshop with our board of directors on our strategic plan, and we wanted to present what our strategic plan looks like and let you get introduced to that. With all of these meetings, we will provide you with a brief update on some of our projects. And then also we will always end this meeting with a water supply update. I know there's a lot of folks around Texas that are getting concerned about our lack of spring rainfall. So our water specialists here at the BRA will talk with you a little bit about our water supply and what are some of our projections look like, and lead you through that conversation. So, okay, you can go to the next slide. So here we go. For the last agenda item was questions and answers, and here's where I'm going to have to ask you for a little bit of patience. This is the first such meeting that we've hosted where we're going to try to answer all of the questions and receive the questions online. So we've just prepared this slide for you on kind of instructions, housekeeping on how to ask questions. You ask your question anytime during the meeting, and we'll answer it as time allows at the end. To ask a question, you click the red box there, the red bubble, the upper right-hand corner. And then it'll ask you, and you can click on Ask a Question button in the lower right, and then type your question in. And we'll get to as many of them as we can before 1 o'clock. If we don't answer your question, please submit us your question to information@brazos.org. Information@brazos.org. And I guarantee you that we will get you a question, an answer to your question, because we want you to have answers if you have questions, and we want you to be better informed and in tune with what's going on at the BRA. So next slide. So another part of this meeting is going to be, I'd like to give everyone an update of basically what happened at our last board meeting as it relates to agenda items. Some of them that I'll discuss were action items that we asked the board to consider for approvals, and then some of the things that we'll discuss were simply reports that we presented to our board. And the goal of this meeting here, the brown bag on the Brazos, is going to be to, our board has recently made the change. Instead of quarterly board meetings, we're going to meet 6 times a year. And following each board meeting, the week following each board meeting, we'd like to host a brown bag event so that we can, again, present some of the action items that our board discussed and took, and then also, again, walk you through the agenda and keep you informed on what's going on in the Brazos Basin. So we had a board meeting last Monday. Our last board meeting was on March the 29th. We had a lot of really good discussions with our board. One of the things that I thought was very successful was we had our first workshop with our board just to discuss our strategic plan. We got a lot of really good input from the board, and we'll be including some of those things with our new draft of our strategic plan that'll be coming out soon. I won't spend any more time talking about that because Aaron's going to walk you through the high level of our strategic plan. Also, our board approved a contract with Carollo Engineering for us to begin a risk-based capital planning process. And that too will be further discussed in our meeting today when we talk about some of our project updates. And it is a really critical key initiative for moving the Brazos River Authority forward and prioritizing our projects, long-range financial planning, and just making sure that we're getting our business done in a timely fashion and that we have our projects prioritized appropriately. Another key component to our board meeting last week was our regional manager, Brad Brunette. He's the regional manager of the Central and Lower Basins. Spent a significant amount of time walking our board through a lessons learned discussion from the unprecedented ice storm back in February and some of the challenges that we saw and experienced with our water treatment plants, our wastewater treatment plants, to a much lesser degree at our dams, and just some of the things that we witnessed and worked through, which were again unprecedented in the state of Texas, and I thought that was a really good discussion. Now, our board meetings, as I mentioned, our regular scheduled board meetings are held every other month. We started that back in January. Our next meeting is on the 24th. You can see that here on this slide. And I want to make sure that you know that all of our meetings are live streamed on BRA YouTube channel. So after the meeting, you can either watch it live or after the meeting, you can go. There's a little screenshot there on the far right corner that kind of shows you how you can go look at any part of our board meeting, listen to it, see the slides, and stay informed that way also. And then I would challenge you, if you want to know more about the BRA and what we do and who we are, I think our public information folks do an outstanding job with our webpage, www.brazos.org, www.brazos.org. And within the last year or so, we've begun putting some videos, some really well done videos to inform people on how we release water out of our reservoirs, what our reservoirs do, how we operate. Recently, we've added a new section on our environmental monitoring. We take a lot of pride in water quality, source water protection, and spend a lot of time out making sure that the quality of our river streams and reservoirs is the best it can be. So there's a lot to learn on our webpage, and I hope you take the time to go look at that and get up to speed on some of the things that we do. Next slide. So at this time, let's get deep down into our agenda. And I'd like to introduce to you Aaron Abel. And Aaron is our Water Services Manager, and he will walk you through a high-level discussion of our strategic plan. Aaron?
Thank you, David. Good afternoon. Today, we wanted, as David mentioned, to present an overview of our FY 2021 strategic plan. As David mentioned, last week we did present this plan to our board of directors in a workshop format to gather comments and questions on the current plan as we look ahead to 2022. Our strategic plan is updated on an annual basis, and this plan is available on our website. If you go to www.brazos.org, under About Us, and then About the BRA, there's a tab called Fiscal Year 2021 Strategic Plan. And so that's where you can find the document, the current plan. The strategic plan for the BRA is basically our guidepost or listing of programs, projects, and services that are driving all what we do into the future. Each year, the plans change a little bit. The plan changes a little bit as we move multi-year projects forward. We complete projects or we expand them. We depend on our strategic plan to help us prioritize the work we do, and it reflects the focus of our mission to develop, manage, and protect the Brazos River Basin's water resources. Our guiding principles, you can see here, are quality people, the right people for the right job, integrity and respect, a commitment to service and stewardship, innovation, and continuous improvement. Just to orient everyone, the Roman numerals that you'll see represent the overarching goals of the plan, followed by the lettered objectives and then the numbered strategies. Under the first goal, we continue to develop water resources, including both surface water and groundwater. And that's the first goal of the plan. We're continually supporting the development of surface water projects based on economic feasibility, environmental sensitivity, and our customer needs. And below you can see several of the surface water strategies that we're pursuing right now. We continue to move forward in developing groundwater both responsibly and efficiently through these strategies. Another objective is supporting reuse and conjunctive use to increase the overall benefit of existing water resources. Supporting the development of economically feasible alternative water sources such as aquifer storage and recovery and desalination treatment technologies continues to be an important objective. Another important objective is the research and development of infrastructure for the conveyance or transportation of water from areas of surplus to areas of need through these strategies. We continue to progress through the feasibility study and initial design of the Lake Belton to Stillhouse Hollow project to increase water supply reliabilities for the customers in the Little River system. We've initiated the phase 3 expansion of our Williamson County Regional Raw Water Line pump station that connects Lake Stillhouse Hollow to Lake Georgetown to realize the full pumping capacity of that pipeline that connects those two reservoirs. The integrated water resources planning strategy will allow the identification of other potential infrastructure and water management strategies to prioritize projects needed to deliver water to our customers in the future. The second goal in the plan is managing resources as a service to our customers and to support beneficial use by the citizens of the Brazos River Basin. And some of those main objectives include managing water resources as a system. This is completed through several strategies. Our system operation permit and water management plan is a big component that helps guide us in the reservoir system management, as well as management of the Possum Kingdom Granbury system within the Upper Basin, as well as the East Williamson County Regional Water System in Lake Granger, at Lake Granger in East Williamson County. We must operate and maintain our water supplies and associated infrastructure in a safe, responsible manner in compliance with water right permits, with our contracts and regulatory requirements. Our continued progress through our long-term preventative maintenance projects of the dams and facilities is a major strategy in ensuring that BRA can continue to deliver water supply from these important projects well into the future. The risk-based asset capital management program is an important initiative that will help inform prioritization of major infrastructure improvement projects through the future. And Blake Kettler will go into a little bit more detail about this important program later in the presentation. The objective of protecting water supply and treatment facilities and proactively planning for continuous improvement of security measures is extremely important as we move forward. Encouraging water conservation strategies to address projected water shortages in the basin continues to be an important objective with the continued population growth throughout our basin in Texas. We continue to manage both water treatment and wastewater treatment plant operations in the areas listed here, as well as exploring new opportunities in water and wastewater treatment. Protecting the water resources and improving water quality and habitat is a significant goal. This is met by monitoring and assessing water quality throughout the basin and participating in a number of initiatives and programs listed here. We're very involved in the Clean Rivers program and water quality initiatives, environmental flow standards, and other initiatives that help support water quality and the overall health of the ecology in our system. Monitoring and assessing stream and reservoir biology to determine the effectiveness of in-stream flows continue to be an important objective in the plan, as well as participating in other programs that maintain healthy riparian areas and aquatic life conditions throughout the basin. We continue to provide for environmental flows and participate in statewide in-stream flow initiatives. And we participate in several watershed protection management efforts, all to improve water quality and habitat throughout the basin. The objective of supporting the development of new water supplies through environmental impact studies continues to be an important objective as we move forward in new water supply projects. We continue to support programs and rules and regulations both on a state and federal level for the protection of water resources, aquatic life, and overall water quality. Identifying conservation and restoration opportunities on BRA property in key locations across the basin where activities would contribute to protections of drinking water supplies, improvement of water quality conditions, and contribute to the preservation of aquatic habitat of sensitive species, and provide mitigation opportunities for BRA projects is a significant objective within the plan as well. Under the goal of proactively engaging in strategic planning and effective resource management, we continue to support the development of strategies to meet the needs of the water supply system with a sensitivity to the system water rate. Supporting the development of strategies that improve assessment of the operational efficiency and physical condition of the assets that improve capital renewal of assets continue to be important. And maintaining communications and public relations efforts to support the BRA's mission and service to the Brazos River Basin communities is another significant goal in the strategic plan. Doing this while ensuring transparency and allowing public access of information through strategies below is an important objective in the plan. Maintaining and developing positive working relationships with legislators, local elected officials, customers, and other stakeholders is a major objective in order to accomplish the stated goals within the plan. We do this through these strategies listed here. We continue to maintain transparency of both financial and operational records through posting of various reports on the brazos.org website. Ensuring accountability to our customers, the legislature, and the public is accomplished by participating in various external audits and review processes that you see here. One of the important goals in this plan is developing and retaining employees to support the strategic vision while enhancing diversity and inclusion in the workforce and preparing the BRA to accomplish its mission. We're able to do this by recruiting, developing, and retaining the right people for the right job. Fostering an organizational culture that values employees' contributions, encourages collaboration, supports diversity, and recognizes achievements is a significant objective, as well as ensuring operational efficiency through programs and processes and improving internal communications and coordination through these strategies. Using a customer service focus to conduct business and encouraging a healthy workforce through programs and initiatives are important objectives to maintain quality people, healthy people that can execute the strategic plan. And finally, ensuring a safe working environment, promoting a safety-conscious attitude in all employees is vital to facilitate the implementation of proactive steps to reduce accidents and incidents. I think that concludes the overview presentation of the strategic plan. Blake Kettler, the Technical Services Manager, will now provide a projects update.
Thank you, Aaron. Again, yes, I'm Blake Kettler, the Technical Services Manager for BRA. We're going to try to have a few of these project updates during the brown bag on the Brazos to just kind of bring you up to speed on active projects or things coming up in the future that may be of interest. Next slide. So the first project we have is the spillway pump and piping project at Possum Kingdom. So to kind of understand this project, you almost have to understand the makeup and the operations of the facility itself. So we have 9 bear trap gates or spillway gates that are used to release water from the reservoir. And these are a little different than what you'll see as far as like Tainer gates, which are pretty common. There's actually only a handful of facilities in the country that utilize bear trap gates. So basically, if you're looking at the gate from a side view, it basically looks like a triangle. The 2 sides going up to the peak, that would be your upstream and downstream leaf. And then the bottom of that triangle would be the gate chamber floor. The way these gates operate is we open a gate that provides water to that gate chamber underneath those 2 leaves. And the hydraulic pressure from the reservoir actually causes the gates or the leaves to float. And that's what we call a floating status. Whenever we're actually ready to release water from the reservoir, we cut off the flow to that gate chamber underneath. We make sure, of course, that the leaves are unlocked. There's a system in place for that, and then the gate will collapse down on top of itself, upstream leaf on top of the downstream leaf, and water flows over the top of that. And then we reverse the process to put those gates back into place. The reason that this is important, as I said, is we use hydraulic pressure to activate those gates. And during times of drought, whenever the reservoir level is down below the 994 level, we utilize what's called our spillway pump for that process. So the spillway pump would provide water to that gate chamber when we don't have enough reservoir head to provide the hydraulic pressure there. So with that said, there is a spillway pump in place. There is piping to provide water to the gate chambers of gates 1 and 4. So this project will look at laser aligning the spillway pump, getting it back hooked up, and then completing the installation of the pipe to the remaining gate chambers. The reason that there's piping already in place there for gates 1 and 4, this system also provides water to the fish hatchery downstream for their operations. So they have two different intakes there at the Morris Shepherd Dam. They have what they call their warm water intakes, which would come off gates 1 and 4, which is at a higher elevation in the reservoir, and they also have a cold water intake. So basically, we went out with the RFP and selected KCI Technologies to help us evaluate the system and assess it, make sure everything's in good operational order, see if there's any piping that needs to be recoated or replaced or anything like that. So they're giving us analysis there, and then from there we'll move forward with design and construction and of the remaining pipeline. Where we're at right now, we've provided notice to proceed to KCI Technologies. So they're in their preliminary evaluation phase right now. We're looking to have that completed in the 4th quarter of this year. So we'll kind of know what comes out of that. And from there, we'll move forward with design, with hopefully completing final design in the 3rd quarter of FY22. Next slide, Aaron. This one, you've heard this mentioned a little bit this morning. This is a risk-based asset management capital planning program. This was an initiative that we brought to the board just last week. So this concept's a little new to the industry. Basically, what we're talking about, you've got 2 different components. You've got your asset management side, and then you've got your capital improvement planning. By asset, I'm talking about everything that BRA owns and is used to complete our operation. So everything from, like we talked about on the previous slide, like a gate up at Morris Shepherd Dam or a pump at our East Williamson County water system, or things such as vehicles, things like that we utilize to complete our mission. Basically, this is all captured currently in an asset management program. We use a system called Micromain, and it performs as it was intended. It captures warranty information, maintenance, labor associated with maintenance, and some other information there. On the capital improvement planning side, we've done a really good job with planning here in the short-term window, but ultimately the goal is to look at a window further out. So instead of a 5 to 10 year forecast, further out into the horizon. And the reason that this is important, because ultimately, if we kind of understand what our projects are out into the future, yes, it's kind of like a moving target that's going to always be changing and adapting. But if we can understand what that forecast is of projects, we can kind of better, make financial decisions or long range financial planning to meet those projects, and also provide stability to our system rate. So with this, what we're going to do is look at assets from a risk perspective. So by risk, what we're talking about is likelihood of failure, consequence of failure, and redundancy for each asset. So once we kind of understand that, if a pump at East Williamson County, if it goes down, what does that do to our operations? Does that stop us dead in our tracks? Do we have redundancy there? We can kind of better understand what needs to take place with that asset. What kind of preventative maintenance? Is there any rehabilitation, repair criteria? So we can better understand that. So once we go in and look at all of our assets from a risk-based perspective, then we can kind of forecast the repair rehabilitation efforts associated with that asset. So is that something that we're going to just capture through O&M? We perform some preventive maintenance, or is this going to be a larger capital project? If it's a larger capital project, we can take that information from there, extract it out of this system, and then put it onto a long-term forecast. So that way we can make sure we're planning for that to come up in the future. We're doing the right intervals as far as when that asset needs attention, and ultimately make sure we have the funding in place to cover that. So with that said, we hired Corello engineers through the RFP process to kind of help us out with this. We went forth with to seek board of director authorization at this last meeting, and ultimately from here we'll move out. So where we're at right now, we just, like I said, seek board approval. So we'll kind of start beginning the development of the asset management framework during quarter 4 of this fiscal year, and understand that this is going to be a multi-year project. There's a lot of moving parts, everything from selection of an asset management software system to just a change from an organization perspective on how we look at assets and how we capture information associated with assets. So there's a lot of moving parts here. The total project, we're looking at probably upwards of 4 to 5 years to fully implement, but we should be able to start getting financial information from the system within a couple of years to kind of help us out in making some of those financial decisions moving forward. And I believe that wraps it up for me, Aaron. I'll pass it back over to you.
Let me, this is David Collinsworth again. Let me interject a few things. This risk-based capital planning, this isn't a database. It's not a software. All of that is part of it. But this is a way that you manage your assets and you strategically plan for the resources that you need for your future. And as we begin to do more very expensive water projects, i.e. Allen's Creek or groundwater or other very large initiatives, this will allow us to roll in all of the data that we collect, all of the information that we have into a system that will allow us to be more transparent in what we see coming in 5 and 10 and 15 and 20 year intervals as it impacts our system rate. So this is, I used the analogy the other day. We were way out ahead of asset management 15 or 20 years ago with MicroMain. And if our asset management system right now were a cell phone, we need an iPhone 11 and we have a bag phone. So we're excited about this initiative. It is going to be long term, but we will begin seeing some bang for our buck in the next year or so, and understanding how we're going to manage and be more transparent through through the planning process. Also, I wanted to share with you that it is our goal in the near future to have a spot on our webpage where anyone can go get updates on projects and even potentially ask questions, but so that you can follow along the risk-based capital planning or the other projects that Blake's going to present to you. So we're also looking forward and excited about getting some of that information on the BRA webpage. So look for that coming out in the near future. And as far as the strategic plan goes, let me wrap that up by saying, if you're interested in our strategic plan, you can get it on our webpage. And if you would like to submit comments or ideas or have questions about our strategic plan, please do that through information@brazos.org. So we're getting in some good questions, and I appreciate that. And as soon as I'll turn it over now, Aaron, to walk us through a very important presentation about the current status of our water supply, and then we'll address some of the questions. Aaron?
All right, thank you. So as David mentioned, we wanted to give an update on the condition of the BRA water supply system. Everybody at this point is a little concerned because, you know, it's already the first week in April, and you know, a lot of folks haven't had as much rain as they normally would have had over the first 4 months of the year. So we still have some months, some wet months in front of us. Typically, May and April, May and June are some of our wetter months. So hopefully we'll get some rain. We have several slides to give you just an idea of where we currently are from a hydrologic standpoint, and what to possibly expect over the next several months as we move further into spring and head into the peak summer months. This is a graphic that we update weekly on Wednesdays, and we update it and post it on our website. There's a lot of good information at brazos.org, and we have a good drought section that shows the current drought status, reservoir status, etc. This graphic shows the current available storage and reservoir drawdown of the water supply reservoirs within the BRA water supply system. Let me walk you through this because there's a lot of information in this graphic. The BRA water supply system contains 11 reservoirs. We have Possum Kingdom, Granbury, and Limestone that are owned and operated by BRA, and we contain only water supply storage in those reservoirs. We have no flood control storage. There are 3 reservoirs on the Brazos main stem, which include Possum Kingdom, Granbury, and Whitney. So those are the only 3 reservoirs that impound the Brazos River. The remaining 8 reservoirs are located along major tributaries of the Brazos River, such as the Little River system and the Navasota, Whitney, Aquila, Proctor, Belton, Stillhouse, Georgetown, Granger, and Somerville. Those are the 8 U.S. Army Corps of Engineers multi-purpose reservoirs that maintain both flood and water supply storage. So they have flood pools that are typically 2 to 4 times the volume of the water supply pools. We contract with the Corps to store water in the 8 core reservoirs, and we have water rights in all 11 reservoirs. And so we have water rights with the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, and then we satisfy contracts through those water rights. The far left is the upper Brazos. I guess if you're looking on the far left of this graphic is the upper Brazos with PK, and then moving to the right, you're kind of flowing downstream to the Gulf Coast. And the height of each of these bars, which represents the reservoir location, represent the total capacity of the reservoirs under the conservation pools or the water supply pools. So the blue area represents the actual water stored in the reservoirs, whereas the white area represents the empty storage. So we say empty storage or vacant storage, the empty space in the reservoirs. In the upper right hand corner of the graphic, you'll notice a table tabulated by percent full and drawdown. So you can get the statistics related to how much water relative to the capacity is stored in each of the reservoirs, and then the drawdown relative to the operational full or the top of conservation level. I want to point out a couple of things. We do maintain the Williamson County Regional Raw Water Line, which is currently transferring about 39 million gallons per day from Stillhouse to Lake Georgetown to supply our customers at Georgetown. Georgetown's a very small reservoir. We have large customers in the cities of Round Rock and Georgetown and Brushy Creek Mud that divert from Georgetown, and so we supplement the supply in Georgetown from Stillhouse Hollow. We are in stage 1 drought watch for Georgetown and Lake Somerville at this point. Stage 1 drought watch is intended to raise customer and public awareness of drought conditions. So stage 1 drought watch calls for a target reduction goal of 5% of the water use that would have occurred in the absence of drought contingency measures. So those are the 2 areas that are are in drought watch right now. Overall, though, we are in really good shape with water supply standpoint. The total system is storing about 1.87 million acre feet of water, and an acre foot. Imagine a football field. Everybody knows what a football field is, hopefully, filled with water up to a foot. And that's roughly an acre foot, and it can supply a family of 3 for about a year. That's kind of what you can equate the volume to. So we're in good condition right now from a water supply standpoint, but we're hoping, everybody's hoping for some rain, and I think we'll get it. This map depicts the departure from normal rainfall over the first quarter of 2021. So the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration produces these maps based on the actual rainfall between January 1st through March 30th compared to what normally falls during the first 3 months. So they're just kind of comparing what we did get over the first 3 versus what we normally get. And so areas shaded yellow to orange indicate below normal rainfall during this time period. And then the areas represented in green indicate above normal rainfall. And you'll see in the far northeastern part of Texas, we have gotten some above normal rainfall, but most of the central part and most of the Brazos River Basin has experienced below normal rainfall for the first 3 months of the year. You can see, especially in the central part of the basin, which includes Bell, Coryell, McLennan, and Hill counties, are experiencing rainfall deficits of up to about 6 inches below normal since January 1st. But just keep in mind, though, we still have some of our higher rainiest months ahead of us, so there's still some hope out there. Other areas seeing deficits are on the order of 6 inches since January include the lower parts of the basin, parts of Austin, Waller, Fort Bend, and Brazoria counties, and really areas immediately along the Gulf Coast and Brazoria County have seen up to 8 inches less rain than what they normally would get over the first 3 months. And then elsewhere across the basin, the below normal rainfall is not quite as severe, but about 2 to 4 inches below normal. So that's kind of where we started off, from January 1st to now. This is the U.S. Drought Monitor, which we update. Well, we don't update it. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, along with others, the National Drought Mitigation Center, updates this on a weekly basis. We've overlaid our reservoirs and the status of the reservoirs, color coded in that legend in the upper right, and you can see where these reservoirs are located, and then the drought intensity that the drought monitor is indicating. The drought monitor, it qualitatively depicts the drought intensity from a geographic standpoint. And like I said, it's updated weekly, and this is on our website and under the drought section. The drought intensity levels range from abnormally dry, so the yellows you'll see, there's not much yellows out there. We're a little bit more severe, all the way up to the exceptional drought, which is that reddish brown color. As of right now, as of this week, 100% of the basin is experiencing some type of drought conditions with areas of the far upper basin and areas in the central basin experiencing extreme drought conditions, with some areas of the far upper basin near the Texas-New Mexico border experiencing exceptional drought conditions. And I want to point out that the majority of these impacts are agricultural related, with the lack of rain, the low soil moisture conditions that the lack of rain has produced. And the pastures and the farmland out there aren't doing so great with the lack of rain. But impacts to drought on water supply, they're typically the last to appear and the last to recover. So we are starting to see some indications, like at Georgetown and Summerville, of drought. Around 60% of the basin is experiencing moderate drought conditions, and those are the tan areas, while some areas from the Little River system northeast to the Lakes Whitney and Aquila areas are experiencing severe drought conditions. So we are experiencing the growth of drought, I guess you will say, or the increase in intensity. NOAA also releases a drought tendency outlook on a monthly basis, typically in the middle of each month, which provides information for the next 3 months on what to expect. And this was released on March 18th, and it's valid for the period between March 18th through the end of June. So areas in brown indicate that drought conditions are expected to persist, so kind of stay the same or keep going, with tan areas indicating improvement in drought. And then the green indicating drought removal likely. There's not much. It's kind of interesting, but from about the central part of the U.S. westward, we're experiencing drought or increasing drought. So areas that have developing drought or persisting in drought. And I think most have kind of seen in the news that Tennessee and North Carolina and Kentucky, they've experienced some significant flooding over the last couple of years. So typically that's what happens. One area of the U.S. is experiencing flooding while the other areas are experiencing drought, and that's what we're kind of seeing here. Looking ahead, I wanted to point out, typically the first week of each month during dry conditions, we project possible reservoir conditions ahead 2 months using two scenarios. One with normal inflows and normal evaporation, kind of what you would expect over the next 2 months, and then one with representing minimum inflows, so low amounts of water entering the reservoirs and high evaporation. So those are the two kind of bookend scenarios that we look at on a month-to-month basis. And this particular scenario represents reservoir conditions for the end of May under normal inflows and evaporation. So in this scenario, you see that we're about 98% full. Have a lot of our reservoirs, being full, and only Lake Somerville possibly being in stage 1 drought in this scenario. But overall, kind of status quo even if we get normal conditions, normal inflows and normal evaporation. And then the other scenario is the minimum inflows and high evaporation. So this is kind of what you could potentially see as a worst case scenario. And so we are just a little over 1 week into April with 2 of our rainiest months ahead in May and June. So there's still a lot of opportunity to receive some of our normal rainfall that would help the system. But in this particular scenario, we would potentially drop down to, a little bit below 90% of this total system storage, and a handful of other reservoirs, Lake Granger and Stillhouse Hollow, entering stage 1 drought. So with that, I wanted to wrap up and just say every late March to April, we have what's called our customer water use and reservoir accounting summary, and that's posted on our website. It's a lot of good information related to water use, reservoir accounting, kind of the components that make up the mass balance of the system as far as the water supply. And this is under our website, under About Us, Water Supply, and the Reservoir Accounting Summary. So this has just been updated here in the last couple of days, and it contains a lot of good information, and it's a great informational resource that's available to all. So with that, I think that includes the water supply update.
Thank you, Aaron. And folks, I know we've gone through a lot of information real fast. We're recording this meeting and we'll put it on our webpage also. And if you have questions later on, feel free to reach out to us. So let's jump right into some of the questions that we've received. The first one is I'm going to turn over to our Upper Basin Manager, Mike McClendon. What is the status of the Turkey Peak Reservoir, Mike?
Yeah, David, this is Mike McClendon. The Turkey Peak Reservoir is not a BRA-sponsored project. The Palo Pinto County Municipal Water District number 1 is the owner or the sponsor of that project. Currently, right now, there's a website that I'll point you to where you can find out a lot of good information that the district has provided, and it's www.turkeypeakreservoir.com. But essentially, right now, it's about a $95 million project. The district was supposed to start construction around this time frame. They've been working on securing funding, and I don't know the exact, where they are ready to turn dirt. I think they're still acquiring property and that kind of thing. But if you refer to that turkeypeakreservoir.com website, there's a place also that the individual can contact the district and ask additional questions.
Thanks, Mike. The next question, BRA owns much property around PK Lake adjacent to my property. Who do I contact regarding the potential lease or purchase of property? So we mentioned a little bit about our property master plan in one of the slides. Here recently, we've just begun an initiative to evaluate all of the properties that BRA owns from the southern end of the basin to north of PK. And really what that process is going to do is a multi-year approach to make sure that we get the full use of our properties and that they benefit our initiative. So you can follow along with our PK property master plan on our webpage, or if you have specific questions, our project manager is Blake Kettler. You heard him speak a little while ago. The goal of the property master plan is not to find ways to divest of property. It's to prioritize and to make sure that the properties that we own, we use to the best benefit of the BRA's mission. So feel free to follow along. We'll have property management committee meetings in the months to come. Those will be posted. And then for questions, reach out to Blake Kettler. Blake.Kettler, Kettler at Brazos.org is his email. So you can reach out to Blake for that. The next question is electricity generated at any of the dams? If not, why not? And I'll turn that over to our Upper Basin Regional Manager, Mike McClendon. Mike, can you answer that one?
Yeah, David. We did up at Possum Kingdom Reservoir. We had a 24 megawatt hydroelectric facility there that we operated for several years. The condition of the generation facilities became into question, and to kind of make a long story short, we attempted to negotiate with one of the local, or I guess state co-ops, to have those reconditioned. That kind of fell apart, and we did a study, performed an extensive study to determine the economic feasibility of trying to continue to move forward. It was discovered that it wouldn't be economical to try to reinvigorate, I guess, those the turbines and recondition those. And so at this juncture, we're not finding an opportunity. I suppose if somebody were to come to us and want to maybe look at hydroelectric, we would entertain it. But then there's a lot of other issues that go along with that with regard to water rights and that kind of thing. So it's an issue where we've operated in the past, but it's not economically feasible to continue that right now.
Thanks, Mike. I was trying to find the unmute button. All right, our next question. What is the status and approximate timeline on the proposed Allens Creek Reservoir development? And Matt, if you'd jump in and answer that one, Matt Phillips, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, so I'll back up a little bit. During the last legislative session, due to delays in the project, the legislature passed a bill that required our partner in the project, the city of Houston, to sell us their interest in the project, and the price that was put on that was basically the amount of funding that they had in the project to date. Houston opposed that legislation, and once it was effective and the governor had signed it, they sued the Brazos River Authority in the state of Texas to halt the implementation of it. So that's provided, some amount of delay with the beginning of the permitting of the project while that lawsuit is still pending. It went through the first round of court hearings and is now in district court on appeal. We're not sure on the timeline of the lawsuit. I would imagine it could take, a couple or a few years. So, that has delayed getting the permitting started. Having said that, we are exploring options, with our project partner of ways to potentially at least begin the federal permitting required for that reservoir in a way that doesn't require us to wait the 2 to 3 years while the litigation plays itself out. So we're trying to get things started, but the timeline is still uncertain. I will say that once we begin permitting, we expect that to be, a 5 to 7 year process, and then a 3 to 4 year construction process on top of that. So wait and see. We'll put information out there as we can.
Matt, stay on the line with us here. The next question we have is, what is the latest on reallocation at Lake Whitney?
So we were successful in having a provision included in the last Water Resources Development Act at the federal level that requires the Corps of Engineers to expedite a reallocation study at Lake Whitney. And that was a big win for us, because before then it's been a project that we have wanted to pursue, but that, was never required of the Corps to begin. Where we're at right now is navigating the administrative process with the Corps to figure out how they plan to implement that provision in the WRDA bill and how they want to get the project started. And more importantly, do they require some amount of federal funding on top of what the Brazos River Authority is willing to pay for that study in order to get it started? So we're kind of navigating that process, but we're hoping within the next year or so that we can begin the reallocation study, given the fact that we were able to have that provision included in the WRDA bill.
Thank you, Matt. Another question that we received is a really good question, and it says slide 15 includes a bullet on the Texas Water Trust. Can you please describe how water dedicated to the trust is managed to support e-flow? Thanks. Aaron, can either you or Matt talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. I can expand on that. So the Texas Water Trust, as part of our system operation permit, we do have a memorandum of understanding with the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department related to dedication of water to the Water Trust under that MOU. One of the things that we're going to have to do to provide water as far as e-flows is concerned is update our system operation permit to include in-stream flow use as a use type before we can release water for environmental flows. We continue to work with Texas Parks and Wildlife to outline exactly how water can be used for the benefit of environmental flows in the context of our system operation permit and our water management plan. So that's a ongoing process. Our water management plan, we have to update that. A 10-year update is due November of 2026. So all of this will be kind of a part of that update. But that's kind of the status of where we are with the Texas Water Trust dedication.
Okay, very good. And Aaron, stay on the line, because this last question that we have time for is for you. Are there any remarks that you can share regarding the release of water from Morris Shepherd in a steady flow around 200 or 300 CFS versus dispatching larger amounts in anticipation of PK reaching maximum capacity due to rainfall or specific needs by customers downriver?
Yeah, I can speak to that. So I guess this kind of touches on a little bit of making releases in anticipation of rainfall events. And, from a lower release volume of 200 to 300 CFS, I mean, we typically don't release in anticipation of rainfall. The forecasts are just not good enough to know when the rain is going to occur and where it's going to occur, to what magnitude. So if we were to release water in advance of a rainfall event, we could potentially make conditions along the river downstream more severe than what would have occurred, and actually make flooding worse. As far as making a steady flow of 200 to 300 CFS, we have what's called our PK Granbury balancing protocol. So we release water from PK and downstream to balance impacts between PK and Granbury from a recreational standpoint. Regarding the docks, the marinas, et cetera, at both reservoirs. So as we move into drier conditions, you'll see increases in release from PK to manage the drawdown of those two reservoirs as a system. So I think, I don't know if we want to expand any more of that, but I think I touched on, we just really can't make releases in anticipation of forecasted rainfall when we don't know where it's going to fall and when it's going to fall. And the other flip side is if we release that water and it doesn't rain, that's water supply that is impacted potentially.
Okay, and I have one more. Let me go here. I have one more question that I received, and it is it's a question about our parks and when will all the restrooms around the BRA lakes be reopened? And because we're seeing such positive trends and COVID numbers going down and more people are getting vaccinated, we are, as we speak, looking at putting plans in place to get those restrooms open for the summertime. I know that's been a big inconvenience to our folks that visit our reservoirs, but we just saw it as something that we really needed to do to put the safety of our employees first. So bear with us. We'll have them open soon, and it'll look more normal for you. So anyway, I want to thank everybody that videoed in and participated and listened in. Again, we're excited about having these meetings following each of our board discussions. So if there's other agenda items that you'd like for us to consider at some point in time, information at brazos.org, and we'll see what we can do. So again, thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.